Right.
So that is a Zoom background. Amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's my second favorite, but my first one, the one I liked the most, was this one. I like this one is a lot better. But people who don't know The Office, they will go, "Oh, there's a guy looking at you." So
Sorry, hold on. Okay, I got to tell everybody I'm filming. Gotta love remote filming.
remote filming
But
is
yeah, I
wonderful.
love The Office. That's
Yeah, but
perfect.
people who don't know The Office, they'll go, "Hey, there's a guy behind you." And so yeah, well, it takes a long time to explain this. So I'm just getting this well, live on Facebook. Well, maybe not. Well, just do it. Just put it up afterwards. So we are both in the comedy business school,
Yeah.
which is cool. That was just a weird noise, uh, like a noise thing. And tell me, what do you do usually?
Yeah, well, so I have a podcast, Good Afternoon Planet Earth. I do with my friend, he's also a comedian, Dominic Leonelli. And so yeah, so we have that with quarantine. Before quarantine, I would do live shows in New York City based. Right now I'm in Jersey until my office reopens. Um, and yeah, so I'm trying to do more digital stuff with the quarantine. I think I had a few phases of creativity in quarantine. Like the first few months, I was not inspired at all. I was just kind of like okay, trying to assess the situation. I honestly didn't think it was going to last this long. So now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to layer on digital stuff and write, make stuff for YouTube and stuff. So
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
yeah.
There's a little noise on your when you talk. I'm not sure if it's when you
Let me
move
see.
or
It might be the headphones. I'm going to take out the headphones. If not, I have my Zoom recorder, so it might be that. So maybe I could use a different mic. Is
I
the
don't know.
sound gone?
The sound, no, it's still here, but there's
Okay.
just a tiny little thing. It's like I don't know, like a frequency or something that moves. I don't know what
Okay.
it is.
What about, is it like that now?
No, no, it's good.
Okay, excellent. All right,
Maybe this
cool.
is like a little bad contact. So yeah, we're supposed to do a little improv. I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Okay. I could give you the five W's and we can go from there.
All right, let's do that.
Okay, all right. I haven't improved in so long, by the way. But yeah, I trained, did two levels at the Groundlings and a few at UCB. So,
All right. I never did improv, so don't worry.
and you know what? You don't even need to spend all that money on classes, you know?
Yeah.
It's like improv is just like riffing. Um, okay, hold on, wait. Okay. It's like once I start to film, everybody decides to like play with play with bats, changing trash. Okay. Oh my god, gotta love it.
It's improv. That's beautiful. I'll have dogs and people coming over soon as well, so don't worry. No problem.
Okay. All right. Three, two, one. This is the last time, Scott. I'm going to agree to do a last minute wedding cake. Like we're bakers. We're not genies.
Yeah, well, but they decided to get married only yesterday, so what do you expect me to do?
I know. I know. Maybe I think we should charge extra. We should charge 2,000 extra for like an expedited anything expedited under 48 hours.
We should do that. 2000 to expedite. Would you like an extra expedite? That'd be good.
Yeah, we'll be like Amazon shipping rates. Like for overnight, it'll be extra.
Yeah, yeah. I have a scooter. I have like a little motorbike. We can deliver. We we can even make it while we are going. Just have the basics, and just add the topping while we are driving.
I love that. that. Oh my goodness. And then that could be our thing. We might not have a totally new business model.
Yeah,
Bake and take. Like just the beauty is we're filming, we could film it, get a reality show deal out of it, and bake it. Oh yeah, I think that's it. We've got a new business model.
we do. I think we should film it and film the faces of people. If someone is in a cab, like a cab driver, he is there and he sees us going by on a scooter, one driving, one baking cakes, and another one just filming. Like we need a long scooter to do that.
I think the Food Network, we're going to be the next Food Network stars. That's
Gordon
it.
Ramsay, let's call him. Let's call Gordon, and have Gordon, running after us, saying how shit it is what we are doing, saying and just insulting us.
Motivator.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't let Gordon catch you, or he will. That'll be like and that's like a thriller feel to it. That'll be really great.
Oh yeah, I love that. Oh my goodness. Either him or somebody who compliments all the time, like you're doing great. You're doing great. But I'm motivated by intensity. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, go.
yeah, we should. And who would be someone nice to Don Rickles? That'll be cool. Have Don Rickles. He's dead, so he wouldn't be of much use, but still.
The ghost. We'll have him on the we'll have Don Rickles hologram.
That'll be and just insulting everyone in New York. You just go, you're black, Jew, Chinese, whatever comes by. While he's not insulting us, you would be insulting people on the street.
A cake roast
A cake roast, yay!
on to distract people when we pull an already done cake as an emergency when if we fail, he could distract them while we get the cake we made in advance to make it look like we just did it.
That's a really great idea. That makes me it's like the Proust's whatever cake, whatever it was. Makes me think when I was a kid watching culinary shows where they had two ovens. They'll put all right, all this chicken, and they put
Oh
it in one oven and they remove it from the top already done. And I was
yes,
like, wow,
I know. Some people don't even like acknowledge it too. They just like try so hard to make it look like they just baked a cake in 2 minutes.
yeah. And we could fight over it as well. So there was a show like that, like two New York Italian brothers baking cakes, and it was always the most important whatever occasion they had in the family. We should only do it for special occasions, and
Mm,
they get to decide what is special or not. That would be
yeah,
cool.
I like that. It adds more to the challenge, you know?
Yeah, people coming, they're getting married, and we're not going to bake a cake if we're not sure they're going to be married for 50 years at least. If we don't feel their love, they have to prove us that they deserve us to bake their cake.
So true. Some people might even fake their love just to get us to make their cake.
Yeah, just because it's not all about money. You know, tired of just people. Oh, I can give you money. I don't want money. We are
Yeah,
artists. You know,
seriously. Our cake art is an art.
is our cake is an art. I love that. That'll be our cake. Bake. What was you just said? Bake, bake roast. No, cake roast. Cake roast is
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
cockroach, but cake roast. It's so
Cake.
great. Cake roast.
Yes. And then if anybody doesn't like the cake that we make them, we'll just say art is subjective.
Exactly. We had 20 minutes to bake a cake, and all we had was what was it already that we had in the fridge?
Um,
Uh,
flour, milk.
flowers. We only had roses and milk. So shut up. We did our best. You know. Yeah.
Yes, that could be the name of our cake, our new business model. We did our best.
We did our best with whatever was available in the time given
Yes.
since 2020. That'll be great. Oh, and we call it scene. Way, that was fun.
Yay.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was.
Cake, cake roast, and with flowers. Well, we had flowers. I was every they're not sugar. They're just flowers.
Oh, man.
So this is cool. So tell me, now getting to know you and what you do. So you're stand up,
Yeah, I do stand up. And now I'm just, I've done improv as well, but I always gravitate towards stand up. But improv, it is fun. Like just doing that, it gets your muscles going. Your writing muscles, your brain
yeah,
muscles.
yeah. That's really cool. I tried once doing the this forgetful story exercise. Oh man, that was so bad. I do it. I give stand up lessons here in France, and this was an exercise I was telling them to do. Okay, you start telling a story, you seem to forget a bit, so you ask them, oh, what was it already? And someone comes up with an answer, not necessarily giving the obvious answer. So I forgot where my car keys were, and I found out they were, and they'll go in your pocket. Well, it's not funny, but I tried to do that with the crowd, and man, did I bomb. That was really funny. That
Man.
was funny. And there was a lady in front of me. And yeah, this is because the stand-up culture is not really doesn't really exist yet here in France. So people tend to forget that you can see them. It's not a TV.
It's like we're live, guys. You can
Yeah,
see.
yeah. So if you are talking to someone, I'm on stage, and you are talking to someone in front of me, I will, you know, mention it or at least do something. So, and the only funny bit was that when an old lady, she has another old lady in front of her, and she goes, "That was bad," and I'm
Oh,
just seeing. I said, "Yes, it was absolute shit," and then everybody laughed, and it was funny. So yeah, that was cool.
that's it. You
That's
call
it.
the moment. People love that spontaneous, in the moment stuff,
Yeah. And
instead of just
then
like going off your paper and, running your jokes in your head. You could have ignored that, but then the moment you called that out, the audience loved it.
yeah, they do, and I'm jealous of you because have you finished the lessons, the video, the all the lessons of Scott Dickers, or
Yeah, I went through a few of them. I actually have to I listened to them while I was doing stuff, like doing the dishes or cleaning.
right?
Um, so I should rewatch them and take notes.
Hmm. No,
Did
because
you?
it's the one of the advices, just mingle with the comedy community, which I would love to do. But how do you feel that? Uh, is there such thing? Do you feel part of that community?
Yeah, I think that actually is super important. I'm a type of person, once I'm done with my set, I like to watch for a little bit, but I'm not a hanger outer. I really like, I got a to-do list for the day. Every morning I wake up, I read a to-do list. And when comedy was live, it's like you could bounce to 2 to 3 mics in a day in New York. And it's like I regret not hanging out. I regret not getting a drink at the bar and hanging out more. But instead I was like, okay, let me watch, let me chill for a little bit, and then I'm gone.
All right.
um but absolutely it's important, and it is important to like get that one drink and socialize.
Yeah.
Something I could have done better.
Okay. And because here in France, it's stand up is taking baby steps. So what happens here is you go to a bar, and there are no, well, at least not well, in Paris. You have some comedy clubs, but wherever else it's just bars, and you
Mhm.
do a comedy show. But you have like 4 or 5 comedians who do 10 minutes each. Then there's a hat that goes around, and people put money in it, or people just when they leave the room they leave some money, then you share the money. But sometimes you spend the whole evening there because there's nothing else to do. You have to wait until the show starts, and then you can't just leave because the etiquette here is that you wait and then everybody gets called back on stage to say whatever they are up to and their upcoming dates and stuff. But how does it work? You can do your set and you just leave.
I really love that model. So, wait, let me get this straight. So people will do their set, and then when the show is over, it becomes kind of like an interview style of like,
Yeah,
oh,
you go back on stage to whatever, acknowledge, say something and say whatever there is to know about you. But this is like 10 seconds, not an interview or anything. But yeah, it's just how it's done because you probably don't have anywhere else to go.
I really like that. And also it'll help the audience connect to the comedian because yeah, so here it's like, everybody once a lot of times once people do their set, they leave. And
But
then it's
do they get paid? Do you get paid?
no, I
No,
mean,
that's why they leave. Fuck
no,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
here it's like the clubs, they could pay like 15-20 bucks per set, but like outside of the clubs, it is all free shows, unless if you do a bucket and pass it around and then you split it up with the comics. But yeah, a lot of people they do their set and just run off. So I think there is something to the way, it's done in France. It's like proper etiquette, respect, and support each other.
Well, yeah, yeah, because but again, the level of comedy, at least where I live, it's not a big town, but they're like maybe 30 comedians, and if you go to three or four or five shows and you've seen most of them, so
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know, it and maybe you don't need to be remarkable to get stage time, but you don't really get a lot of stage time. So, and how does it work? How can a comedian make a living in New York? Can you make a living as a comedian in New York? Or
Well, that's an interesting question. I feel so for me, I have a job as well. Like I cannot support myself off comedy at all right now. It changes though once you get a TV credit.
all
Once
right,
people get a TV credit, then their name holds value on the marquee. It's, hey, blah, 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 tickets. And that helps sell tickets for the comedy club. So it's really much about mutual benefit. Like, how can the comedy club benefit from this comic, and how can the comic, well, it's pretty much that way. Like, how can, if someone doesn't move seats, understandably, it's hard for these small business comedy clubs to survive in New York. Sadly, my favorite comedy club, The Creek in the Cave, just closed because of COVID. um and she was just so generous. The owner, Rebecca, she would have Thanksgiving for the comics, holiday parties for the comics, and she's just so generous to comics. And it's so sad to see that comedy club close. So it's really hard for comedy clubs to stay afloat in the COVID era
yeah,
right now. But from what I've seen, unless if a comic has a TV credit or a popular podcast, you're not going to make a living. Unless if you can do commercials, there's always something supplementary.
yeah, yeah. And how about writing and auditioning? Are you going are you writing for things and auditioning, trying to get it into TV, or
Yeah. Well, I'm work on my writing on my own. I like to wake up and set timers and have writing prompts. I think you're in the late night writing club, right? I
yeah,
just started the late night writing club.
yeah, yeah, to check it out, yeah.
Yeah. And so I really want to focus on getting my writing better because, when you're performing live, it's this balance of like practicing performing plus practicing your writing. And when you're going to all these mics in the show, the time in transit on the subway, it eats up your time that you could be writing, plus having to work a day job. It's so many spinning, so many plates. So in the pandemic, yes, I'm working on getting my writing good. I've done a few remote auditions with backstage.com. It's where they post all the auditions. Do they have backstage in France?
No, there's some websites for that. Yeah, but you never know if it's a scam or just
Oh,
like creeps wanting nudes, and I don't send nudes.
oh gosh, for sure. It always helps to have a legit website. If these,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, some people they post stuff and one time I respond, it's nothing to do with news or whatever, but I responded to do this web series and the ad painted it like it was this, very successful. They got a lot of views. And so it was like, yeah, sure. And they didn't put the link on the ad. So I go up to do it and they were doing it, filming it on their iPhone, which is fine, but it's fine. But if something like that, like free, no craft services or whatever, and people are donating their time, they should be quick, like be organized, like, okay, let's get this shot done and that shot done. But instead it was like a 12-hour day.
wow,
And it's like, oh man, I agreed to do this free, web series, and it's on an iPhone, and they didn't really have much going on. And it was a long, long day. So
wow,
yeah, so it's not an easy thing, you know.
yeah,
But hopefully I can get an agent so I can do stuff. But I feel like you got to have some sort of digital presence
right.
before you can even think about that. So who knows?
Yeah, so you're working on your podcast, and you have like a YouTube uh videos and stuff.
Yeah. So we put the podcast on YouTube and then also iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
All right.
So, and we're on we just released the 10th episode yesterday, and we're still trying to find our, fan base. So it's like, as creators, it would be awesome if a creator could write, do the art, and then, just publish it. But instead, it's like creators have to be marketers, PR publicists, they have to be graphic designers, and, SEO analysts.
Yeah,
And it's like, oh my goodness, it took so much time to do the business aspect that it takes away from the actual art and the actual creating. So that's been slightly an obstacle, but it's been interesting trying to figure that out.
right. And yeah, so that's really interesting. I started a podcast of my own.
Oh, cool.
but
I'll check it
it's
out.
it's crap. Oh man, no, I wouldn't. I wish it becomes famous and everybody recognizes the comedy genius in there, but no, it's
I'll give you 5 stars. So that's it. Like with peers, we
yeah, let's
all
do it. Yeah,
vibe and help each other out.
yeah,
It helps if you ask people to give you 5 stars. It feels so wrong. It
yeah.
feels comfortable. Like, hey,
Oh man. But yeah, I write comedy on Fiverr. I've been writing on Fiverr for a while, and it works. I get gigs of people wanting me to write comedy. That's cool. But
plus it coincides the way you can, pay your bills. It coincides with what you love.
oh yeah,
It's
that's
hard doing right like day jobs that doesn't relate at all to comedy. It's like it's kind of soul sucking. Like, oh,
yeah, it is. It is. I quit my job beginning of September. Because I said, well, I could get some unemployment money for a couple of years. So because this is France, so this is cool. I can just leave my job and still have an income for a while and to dedicate myself to comedy because yeah, I was managing people and oh man, come on. And oh, that one, he didn't say good morning to me. Oh, he didn't say, oh, come on, grow up. So anyway,
Is
uh,
it like in France, in America, people are kind of HR like obsessed. Like if somebody, does something wrong, they report to HR and it's a huge situation. Is that how it is in France as well?
no, not really. It's it will take a little while before it gets to HR, but
Right.
it, sometimes it does happen. But we don't. In Europe, you have a lot less legal like lawsuits and stuff like that. It's a lot less. Like in Germany, if there's ice on the road or on the street and you fall, you can't just go and you know sue the council. They'll say, "Well, you're an idiot." This is Germany. You slipped, you fell, you're an idiot. Get up and fix your legs. We'll fix your leg for free. Put some screws in it, but you don't get to sue people for that kind of thing. And of course, HR. There is there is there are procedures, but I have the feeling that it's less, you know,
Right.
less
Here, it's just
procedures.
everything is a big deal. It's like, okay, guys, calm down. Let's calm down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So you managed people like that's got to be such a difficult like to be put in a position of managing people because it's like they look to you for guidance at all times. So you always have to be on your A game.
Yeah, you have to have answers. That's
Yes.
with that they come to you, A or B, and both are roughly the same. There's nothing. Just go A, and go, all right, A, okay. But you could decide that by themselves, and
Right.
sometimes the
But you
initiatives.
call it.
Yeah, you can do this. Just positive. Sometimes when people have initiatives, it's usually to work less. So, oh, we
Mm,
had this idea, uh, not touch the merchandise at all, and wait for it to rot, and then put everything to trash, and it will be a lot more practical. And they go, yeah, but that's not why we are here.
doing
Yeah,
have to.
yeah. So, but anyway, what I really like is comedy, and how are you doing with to find your voice? Do you have a feeling you found it, or
I think, when I first started, I was just trying to put words together, like calculated, like, okay, I feel this, flip it on the opposite for the setup, and then, alternative reason why. It's like that. And boy, your point of view isn't in it, how you feel. And it doesn't, it's like, do I really think that? The jokes I wrote, some of them. And so as the more I'm in it, the more I'm learning to write jokes that feel aligned with my heart. Like I could be like, do I really think this?
yeah,
Yeah. There's an element of that in with the kind of jigsaw puzzle of forming words
yeah,
to get that surprise element. So I'm not there yet, I feel, but I'm definitely closer than I
right,
was.
right.
It's
And
not
when you say like or you say setup and versing, it sounds very technical. Is that from a school?
it's just from all these books I read. Like
All right,
so
because I've
many.
I've done the Greg Dean stand up school thing,
Yes, yes.
and it sounded a bit like that.
You know what? Yes, I have read his book. It's actually it gets me in my head a little bit, that book. I think sometimes it's that his method is great for like an exercise. I wish I could have that one liner joke style. I love, love, love that kind of comedy. One liner jokes are just beautiful. But it's not necessarily me, but I want to. And I think Greg Dean actually has really good method laid out. Yeah,
Yeah,
feel, flip it, and then give an example of that. And then what are some other interpretations of that? Yeah. What
it's funny because I've done 2 terms. I'm probably going back soon to class with them, and it's funny because it is, and even the teachers, they're teaching you and they go, yeah, this is what you should do, and they go through the steps and everything, but no one really does it. This, well, except Greg and his wife, and even his wife, maybe she doesn't do it because it's counterintuitive. If you're a comedian, you just, okay, I have this idea, punch whatever, set up, and there you can. And I'm giving stand-up lessons around here, and trying to explain that system. You just lose people because what, because there's the the premise, the punch premise, the setup premise, the connector, the reinterpretation, and they go, ah, what? No, I just want to be a comedian, man. I don't. Yeah,
like, I think it's a great to get your brain in the mindset of it's like when you have an idea for a joke, it's almost like you got to zoom out, like as if it was a camera. Like, okay, I have this idea for a joke. Let me zoom out, see the broader picture and, like the broader topic and then give exam. It's definitely a mind explosion. Like
yeah, yeah.
sometimes
It
I'll be
is.
reading the same, like looking at the same joke for like 30 minutes and I just got to give up on it. I'm like, I went in a dead end to nowhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
30
yeah.
minutes trying to make a joke out of this.
Yeah, but the cool thing is if you do it, and that's what I like about the system is that if you do it step by step, there is no waste. Whereas if you'll be writing a joke and say, my dog was just laying around chewing on a bone. When he got up, he only had 3 legs left. Okay, well, but if you don't like that, you might end up throwing all of that away. Whereas if you do the joke mine and the joke prospector, the joke prospector to get to the joke mine, you'll write all these options, and if it's like you have the ingredients,
Yeah,
and you try one recipe, it works or not, then you try another recipe, but you still have all the premises, all the things you wrote before that you can try to connect in different ways. So in that sense, it can be cool.
absolutely.
And so, did you see any famous comedians right there in New York?
Yeah, well, actually, I used to waitress at the Comedy Store. It was
Wow.
one of my favorite jobs ever. I always am kicking myself for leaving there because I just love the Comedy Store. It was to me, I would always think like this feels like I'm at Disney World.
How much did you pay to work there? That's the thing.
Well, yeah, I used to waitress the graveyard shift down the road in Hollywood, and I would talk to all these great comedians and we'd get to talking. So I kind of got to know a few people there. And then, luckily I would hang out there and then I was just so like exhausted from working the graveyard shift. I purposely worked the graveyard shift so I could audition and do stand-up comedy at the same time. Like so I lived in LA and my hours at this diner in West Hollywood, it was midnight to 8 a.m.
Wow.
It was so miserable. And but it worked because it's hard to do both acting and comedy if you need to work. Some people are blessed and they don't need to work and in Hollywood and they can just focus on doing mics and all that. But I always had to work. So, like if I worked a night shift at a bar from like 6 p.m. to midnight, I missed comedy. But then if I worked the lunch shift from 11 a.m. to 4 a.m., I missed out on auditions. So the graveyard shift was a solution to do both. But it had a high cost of like my happiness. It was so miserable. So I was just at the comedy store hanging. I'm like, I'm so miserable. Do you know anybody hiring? And so I was able to get in that way. But it was the best job I've ever had. And there, I always saw hanging out, of course, Bill Burr, I saw him hanging out, Chappelle, just anybody who's anybody, like, like comedians and even cool actors would come hang out. And it's just a
That's cool.
magical.
And that was all in LA.
Yeah,
And
that
now
was an
and then you moved to New York.
Oh yeah, my family's in Jersey and
All right.
my parents have never been my dad's never been on a plane. And when your parents are getting like older and you're not seeing them, you feel guilty.
Right.
So it was really hard for me to fly from the West Coast to the East Coast to visit them. And my sister was like getting married, and I just felt like I needed to be near my family. So where my family is in Jersey, it's an hour and 20 minutes from New York City. So I was like, okay, the solution to the guilt of not seeing my family is New York City. And at the time I was like, what do I value more? Myself being in LA, doing what I want to do, or my family? Plus I can do it still in New York. So I valued family for New York, so that's why
Nice.
I left. But honestly, I regret it a little bit because I had a lot going on for me in LA. So
All right.
patience, guys, patience.
That's
If
the
you guys
thing.
are out there performers, patience, wait it out. Nothing's gonna happen overnight. You'll get there.
Yeah.
That's what I wish I told. That's what I would have told myself in that moment.
And how long ago was this?
It was like 6 or 7 years ago.
All right.
So.
Okay. Well, it's the same. Sometimes you see people. I see the young kids starting stand up, and they're 20 and something, or even younger, and say, "Wow, I decided to start comedy. I had two children and alimony to pay, man, and my kids in France. So now I plan to go to LA or to New York or at least to London for a while, but then everything is a lot more complicated. So
Honestly, let me tell you, you are in a sweet spot because you have experience. Like
yeah,
I think about that all the time. So, I had to go back to college. Well, not I didn't have to, but so right out of high school, I went to an acting conservatory instead of getting my bachelor degree. And so it led me to work these really hard jobs and balancing my art. It was so stressful. And I wasn't set up to properly be an artist because I
sure.
had to work. 20 out of 24 hours I was working. And so I think about that all the time. I wish I lived life before doing it because let me tell you, as someone, you have children and life, you're interesting to listen to.
Yeah,
I was doing comedy, I was talking about trail mix. Like that is not interesting.
yeah,
And it's not even like unique angles. I was
sure.
talking about like the texture of trail mix. So you haven't that you are just fine. Like it's like I guess where we are on our paths is exactly where we need to be. Cause
Yeah.
I'd rather listen to someone who's been through stuff than
Oh yeah.
someone 19 and talking about trail mix.
Yeah, this was funny. There's one kid I give lessons to. He went on stage. He forgot all his
Oh,
set and everything, but he was going to talk about Instagram and how girls on Instagram post pictures of stuff. And he goes, and the audience, like 10, 5 people knew what Instagram was. And he goes, "I'm going to talk about Instagram." And the old ladies go, "Oh, right, okay, what?" So he was so thrown off by the fact that he could see that he was so young compared to everybody else, and that nobody really cared about his views on Instagram. And then I taught him a bit about crowd work, and he starts doing it, but you're supposed to repeat what the person tells you. You ask what you do for a living, and yeah, he goes to this lady, and she was chatterbox. He goes, "What do you do for a living?" She goes, "Well, I'm an animal behavioralist,"
Hmm.
and in his mind, he was going, "What the fuck am I going to say about that?" So, animals, and he didn't even repeat what the lady said. So it was the completely lost. That was funny. And then she told him she had a bunny, and a bunny is a special kind of well, not a special kind of dildo, but it's a dildo that has. Uh, it was a big thing in Europe with the certain the bunny,
I
because
think
it has
City. Yeah,
sorry.
it was on Sex in the City with Carrie, and they did a whole episode about that.
Yeah, about the bunny. So the lady said she had a bunny, and he goes, "Oh, you have a bunny? Ah, you like animals?" But he didn't know. It was the only one in the room that didn't know what the bunny was. So that was really everybody was laughing, and then now, fuck, they're laughing now. What's going on here? That was
Oh
cool.
my gosh, that is so funny. And his association from the point of view of an innocent, youngin, like that was probably really endearing. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah, yeah,
funny, but didn't realize.
yeah. And then we were laughing because I had to explain to him what it was, and he goes, "Oh, all righty then." He learned something that night. So that was really cool. And and now, what's the prospect with COVID in New York? Is you opening soon, or you
Well,
don't know?
yeah, so I'm in Jersey until my office reopens. But I plan on going back to the city maybe February or
Wow,
March.
nice.
But my friend Dominic, who I do the podcast with, he's in New York and he's been doing these shows outside. And at this place called LOL in Times Square, he like does crowd work for the people walking by in Times Square.
Did you get
So
mugged or something? Hey, you, fat
yeah,
lady.
almost. Yeah, and he said he did an inside show, so I think slowly but surely. And the thing is, it's all spaced out. So I think laughter is a little different. When the beauty of a comedy show, low ceilings, tight, packed in, is like how laughter travels
Yeah,
that way. So with this whole 6 feet apart, it's different, he was saying.
yeah,
So
yeah. Some people don't allow themselves to laugh. If it's the same with Zoom, if you're doing a Zoom show and you're just seeing people and they are looking at themselves, it's like like if you put a mirror in front,
oh my
a little
gosh,
mirror in front of people at the show, and they'll go, "Oh,
that
can you?"
is so true.
Yeah,
No, I wish Zoom had it like where it had like a question. Do you want to look at yourself? If not, we'll
yeah,
take away. Why does Zoom have that?
yeah. Plus the time it takes, for when because you are in Jersey now, so I'm in the south of France, so the time I tell a joke and the joke gets to you, you laugh, and your laughter gets to me, it's 25 minutes, and if you're a comedian,
Was Zoom, right?
yeah, there's always a bit of that, and sometimes you even think you're bombing and people are laughing, and then the laughter comes late, and then it's like you're not used to that. It's weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's very kind of you to come on this little interview thing, because
Hmm.
it's cool. Well, my podcast isn't, but yours. Be looking forward to listening to it. That'll be cool.
Yeah, add us on Instagram, uh, Gape TV, GAPE TV. It stands for Good Afternoon Planet Earth. So we just found out that the acronym means
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I said,
no,
wow,
I know.
I want
So
to watch that.
I know it's so funny, and at the time I was trying to get all the social media handles, and Good Afternoon Planet Earth was like way too long. Instagram was like, dude, you can't have that many characters. And so Dominic and I, we didn't know what that meant. So we're like, how about we just call it Gabe TV? And we were both like, yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
And everybody who I told, they just looked at us like, and then so we found out what the acronym meant, and we busted out laughing. We're like, should we change it? We're like, nah,
No.
let's embrace it. Get some
Yeah.
clickbait.
Yeah, that's the thing. And now each time someone, you can recognize someone who knows what it means. Say, oh, you know what it is, do you? Oh, all righty then. Did somebody tell you? Or did you stumble upon it? Hmm?
Right.
So it tells more about them than what it does about you. So
Oh gosh.
Gabe TV, I love it.
Embrace it.
Oh well, that's cool. That's really cool because sometimes you do things like today. I was recording an episode this morning of my podcast, and it it's so bad that I don't even listen to it myself when I do it. But the guy Matt I'm doing this with, a friend, he goes, hey, what's going on in Scotland? And I go, hey, Scotland, that's so great. Oh, how come I didn't think about this before? And he's like, wow. And the same for you, Gape TV. So
Yeah.
if one day I hope to be invited to Gape TV, and oh man, I'll tell everybody. I was I was featured on Gape TV. You should check it out. I'm over there. They chose me. I auditioned. So yeah, that'll be funny. Anyway, well, thank you so much
Having me. It was
for your
super
time.
fun, and I really like everything you're doing. I think that's cool, interviewing people from like all over the world pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, because that's the thing I found out with comedy. I always loved comedy, and then when I did the lessons, and we were just hanging out with comedians, that's the best crowd in the world. And at certain points, with my one of my teachers, Jim McAleese, he's from Canada, and there's three people working on a joke, and that's beautiful. Like this, that's it. Something that doesn't exist, something
Mm.
that is an idea. It's just out there, and you, oh yeah, how about this? How about that? And you're constantly, this banter or making fun of each other and stuff like that, that you can't do with a civilian. If you do that to a civilian, it's, oh, you're so mean, you're so
Right.
rude. Yeah,
Right.
so that's why I love this. I do this out of love and out of enjoying. Say, hey, so yeah, I hope we cross paths again
Yes,
sometime. That'll be great.
totally. Come to the late night comedy writer workshop.
Yeah,
It's
well,
on Thursday though, so that would be
a
like
weird time.
night
I
your
don't
time,
know.
or I don't know, but
I'll check it out. I ordered the book. Yeah, writing for late night. I think it arrived today. I'll go and check the mailbox. I did get delivery today, so I'll check that, and I will join and we'll talk away. Yay!
awesome.
All righty. Thank you very much. I'll just bye.